Status of housing estates, market stores, and shops belonging to Embu County Government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whereas the county government of Embu owns several housing estates, residence houses, shops, and market stores within the county, appreciating there is a need to assess the status of these properties and their revenue generation capacity. Further, concerned that the estimated potential revenue from the rental income from houses, markets, stores, and shops owned by the county government is not commensurate with the actual revenue collection. Noting that it is important to establish whether the county government has the necessary ownership documents of the said properties. Concerned that there could court cases involving the properties owned by the county government. Now, therefore, the County Assembly urges the county executive to 1. Provide detailed information on A. Names of the residential flats, estates, 2. Market stores and shops owned by the county government, indicating the names of the tenants, numbers of units, location in electoral ones, and the specific town centers. 2. Indicate the rent chargeable and rent collected for every residential house, market, store, and shop for the last 2 calendar years. Number 3. Indicate whether there are any existing court matters involving any of the said residential estates, market stores, and shops, and the current status of the court cases. Number 4. Provide copies of the land ownership documents of the said properties as proof of ownership. Number 5. Provide the above and any other information incidental of the status of the said properties within 30 days from the date of receipt of the motion. This was asked by Honorable Masters Mwaneki. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I move the motion.
You have moved the motion, is seconded.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion that this County Assembly urges the executive on the status of the rented houses and all that pertains to residential plots and stalls. Mr. Speaker, we note with great concern that this county needs to have revenue mapping in terms of what is rentable, the space that is available for rent, in terms of residential estates and houses, stores and markets. And as long as we don't have an inventory of how much we can map in terms of revenue that is generated out of rent, we are not able to have the share of the revenue that can be put in the basket that emanates from rent that is collectible from the residential estates, flats, market stores, and all the likes. We are sure, and very sure, that even in the last 10 years, even in the old regime of the county council and the municipal council, there are many houses that were domiciled in the various county councils and the municipal councils that were taken over by people and who have not been paying and remitting the rents and the fees that are due from the market stalls for a long, long time, denying this county a lot of revenue in terms of what is collectible each and every month. So, Mr. Speaker, as I rise to second this motion, I would also want to say that for a long time we are not sure of where these plots are. We are not sure whether they have been taken over, they have been grabbed, and this has denied us a clear picture of the kind of revenue that we should be getting or that should be generated from rent of residential flats, houses, market stores, and the likes. For example, in our here just at Kiambere, where we have the market, Embu market, we also have the Menjes market, Makutano, and Eshiara, and maybe even Keretire. We have stores that should be generating revenue for this county. And it is in the same way that as we ascertain where these stores are, the number to whom it is that they have been apportioned. It's also nice to understand how this rent or rates have accumulated or have metamorphosed from one rate to another over the previous years. We are in this assembly and on record that last week we were discussing on a matter concerning the digitization of our health facilities. It is in the same way that we also urge out of this report that we digitize where by mapping our revenue streams coming from market stalls and real estates. And all these flats that we have, because in one or another, we don't have a clear picture of how much it is that emanates from these plots. We are not able to see that in our revenue basket, how much money is collected from these market stalls, flats, and estates. Mr. Speaker, we have progressively said that we want to be a house that is up on its toes, and we are always wanting to know what is the next step that is required of us as an assembly. Out of this motion, Mr. Speaker, as we urge to have our market stalls and estates identified where we are getting revenue in terms of rates, rents, and fees, it is in the same vein, Mr. Speaker, that we also want to have an audit of all the people that have been allocated these rental estates and flats and stalls to make sure that those who should be paying are paying, and what amount of money is being generated, that maybe the finance committee can take seize of the matter and also provide to the budget committee in terms of the revenue basket how much it is that is going to be apportioned from these sectors each and every year on Mr. Speaker. We also know that some of these places could also have been grabbed and converted into personal property, because for a long time we've not had an inventory of these market stores, estates, and stores. And it's in the same way, Mr. Speaker, that now we urge that the executive does a comprehensive report of all the county houses, rentals, flats, and stores to make sure that we have a clear picture of what the county owns and how much it is revenue that we can be able to generate from the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I'll ask to propose the question. That whereas the county and government of Embu owns several housing estates, residential houses, shops and market stores within the county, appreciating there is a need to assess the status of these properties and their revenue generation capacity. Further concerned that the estimated potential revenue from the rental income from houses, market stores and shops owned by the county government is not commensurate with the actual revenue collected, noting that it is important to establish whether the county government has the necessary ownership documents for the same properties, concerned that there could court cases involving the properties owned by the county government. Now therefore, this county assembly urges the county executive to 1. Provide detailed information on names of residential flats, estates, market stores, and shops owned by the county government, indicating the names of the tenants, number of units, location in electoral wards, and the specific town centers. 2. Indicate the rent changeable and the rent collected for every residential house, market store and shop for the last 2 calendar years. 3. Indicate whether there are any existing court matters involving any of the same residential estates, market stores and shops, and the current status of the court cases. 4. Provide copies of the land ownership documents of the same properties as proof of ownership. 5. Provide the above and any other information incidental to the status of the same properties within 30 days from the date of receipt of this motion.
Mr. Speaker, we are suffering, but some people somewhere, Mr. Speaker, have decided to benefit from our resources, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this motion, I think, will go around, Mr. Speaker, in providing the information, the very much needed information, Mr. Speaker, so that we can be able to know, as an assembly, what the county owns, what resources are there, Mr. Speaker, and how we can use the resources, Mr. Speaker, to support the government, Mr. Speaker. Because this government, Mr. Speaker, requires revenue, Mr. Speaker, we require finances, Mr. Speaker, we require to develop. And Mr. Speaker, without knowing what we have, Mr. Speaker, without knowing what we collect, Mr. Speaker, it will be very impossible for us to run as a county, Mr. Speaker, and as a government, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I support Mr. Speaker, and support that, Mr. Speaker, to have a data where, Mr. Speaker, we are able to compare and see what we collect versus, Mr. Speaker, what we have, Mr. Speaker. With the detailed report, Mr. Speaker, on the residents we have, Mr. Speaker, on the market stores and what we collected from them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on what we charge from those markets, Mr. Speaker, I think we'll be able to manage our budget, Mr. Speaker, and also provide the requisite information to the county government so that, Mr. Speaker, as they prepare the budget, Mr. Speaker, they will be able to know what we are able to get, Mr. Speaker, locally from what we have as a local correction point, Mr. Speaker. With that, Mr. Speaker, I do support.
Because Mr. Speaker would have requested this House to do an ad hoc committee. It is a sensitive matter, Mr. Speaker. And one thing that I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, in terms of getting this reply from the executive, which might take forever. Why, Mr. Speaker, is that this House, some of us, including the leader of majority, and those people, most of us who have been Honorable Susan, the historical issue about especially rented houses and stalls is quite a serious matter. It is one thing that we can really generate a lot of revenue, Mr. Speaker, which we are not generating today, Mr. Speaker. I think the issue which we need to put it very clearly is that we say this county is going to be progressive, and I've heard the governor say it clearly. One time he was in Embu, that those people that occupy county houses should go and register with the Department of Lands. And Mr. Speaker, we hope these are the results we expect. So then, Mr. Speaker, as we continue, just like the leader of majority has said, as we continue talking about the budgets, the county not being able to meet the budgets in terms of local revenue and resource envelope, Mr. Speaker, this is one area we can get a lot of money if well documented. One, either digitize it, and Mr. Speaker, I was in one of the activities during the relocation, Mr. Speaker, and I've done a simple survey, Mr. Speaker. In the market of Embu, where we have the green market, Mr. Speaker, alone, it has 326 stalls. You can imagine that one simple market has 326 stalls. Look at the bus parks that we have, Mr. Speaker. Look at the many houses that are owned by this government. Mr. Speaker, I think one thing that we need to be very candid about is that, and as an assembly, we need to urge the executive and push it through the relevant committees of housing and even maybe the PIC, which involves investments of this county, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that nobody takes the advantage of the laxity of the previous governments. So, Mr. Speaker, I think what is important, Mr. Speaker, is that one, that the data be collected just like the mover is saying. Let us be able to map and get an inventory of what is this that we own as a government. Let's have it documented, Mr. Speaker. Let us know that this county, Mr. Speaker, can only move forward. For example, Mr. Speaker, if you just cross around Kirinyaga, Mr. Speaker, they can easily tell you that this year we are not able to collect 50 million because somebody has gone to court, or maybe 5 million because somebody has gone to court and we are not collecting rent. This is what we are saying. If we are going to check the revenue resource, Mr. Speaker, each and every stream that this county has for revenue must be mapped, so that we know in stalls by the end of the year Because a store is supposed to pay this much, then we should be able to see this much strictly in the budget. By the end of the day, if we have rental houses, Mr. Speaker, we know they are there. Let us know how much we expect. And Mr. Speaker, I've heard the mover also asking the issue about court cases, Mr. Speaker. We must also be able to advise the executive, maybe through the Legal and Justice Committee, that this issue of them taking things for granted and rushing and giving notices without proper direction, Mr. Speaker, is making this county suffer. Well, the whole CEC, knowing that there is a vacation notice process, just gives a 7 days notice to members of this house, people who are occupying these houses. You know, sometimes, Mr. Speaker, you look at it and you ask yourself, could he have done it intentionally because he has other influence? Because this is a learned man. Why would he give a 7 days notice, knowing very well that the tribunal on matters rental, it should be not a minimum of 60 days. Why not give the normal proper notice? Let the 60 days elapse, then use the courts to make sure that we regain back our houses, Mr. Speaker. I think Mr. Speaker is also coming out clear. We went with the Committee of Administration. Mr. Speaker, we found people in those houses, Mr. Speaker, saying that they don't even pay rent. They don't even know who collects rent. There is a lot of confusion, Mr. Speaker. You can imagine this county not having money. Especially, Mr. Speaker, because majority have been domiciled, they are domiciled in Kilimani. I'm a very worried man, Mr. Speaker. That again, we'll come again here and not be able to collect revenue on matters that, Mr. Speaker, these are houses that are sitting in very prime areas, Mr. Speaker. They should even be telling us if they can't collect rent, Mr. Speaker, evict these people after proper noticing. Then, Mr. Speaker, let's put up flats as a county. Let us put houses, Mr. Speaker, sell to the public just like the National Housing Corporation does, Mr. Speaker. So that then the county continue enhancing and getting more revenue from these premises, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at it, we may need, and I believe, Mr. Speaker, if we don't get an answer through your committee, Mr. Speaker, of implementation after 60 days, we may be recommending another committee so that we give ourselves a serious report with evidence that we have collected from the ground. Mr. Speaker, I support.
As our Deputy Speaker said, we need to be very aggressive. And what Deputy Speaker said, and neither we wait from the executive side, will not get this report. And we have really several seen in reports in the finance, they are giving data that are not, you cannot understand. And I know our Deputy Speaker and also His Worship the Mayor, the time that we were in this, not Mayor, I'm sorry, I withdraw, Honorable Muridi, he was the Mayor at that time. Let's not give a credit to it deserved. And I know, as the Deputy Speaker said, it is true. There is no correction in any stores in this county. And I remember before I resigned from the county, from the county government at the side of the executive, we had corrected so much from Bere, that is Geretire stage, because they have stores, Runyenjes, Shiara, and other places. I know it is very easy for the executive to give these reports, but because they know very well, there are individuals, people who are correcting money in stores, in rental houses, and other places. We'd like to have a committee from this end, because our work is oversight. What are our responsibility to see this report or this motion after maybe a certain time that will be given, that we are able as a finance and also budget to see that we have a proper report on this motion. This motion is very, very important in this house because it is revenue generating, and this is where we are not able to budget in a right way. So, as Honorable Speaker, I would like, if there is a way of having a committee, a side committee on this, maybe budget and finance, or maybe we get a collective honorable members who can handle this, and also to push in the other side of the executive. It is very important. We want to see that the governor is able to work, and we want to correct at least $1 billion in a year. And approximately, we can correct 1.2 billion in a year if this thing can be well replaced. I support.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to support what previous speakers have cited, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the municipal council did not sold the store to the residents. All they did, they rented stores for 99 years. And Mr. Speaker, there is rate and rent which the owner of any store in this town should pay to the county government. The question is this, Mr. Speaker, do they pay? The first bus park, second bus park, large bus park, covered market. Do we know how many stores are there as a county government? In the adding over handed over property, so that the whoever is responsible for that knows how many stores do we have? The answer is no. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to support and say it is good to do an inventory for our assets, so that when we budget knowing in the bus park, in the first bus park, we have 20 stores, 100 stores. The owner pays 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. So the total amount is this, Mr. Speaker. Houses, Mr. Speaker, this county owns houses in Nyaga Estate, Kimandi. Those are our county government houses. The tenants, Mr. Speaker, went to court. They don't pay anything for about now 15 years. Nobody is following that case, Mr. Speaker. The mover of the motion, Mr. Speaker, cited that if there is case in court, we know. Mr. Speaker, this is the time that the Minister of Land should go actually and tackle that matter so that that case is finalized once and for all. Because, Mr. Speaker, when someone staying in the county houses and is not paying, that is illegal, Mr. Speaker. Although, Mr. Speaker, just want to say, those houses should actually be rented to the county staffs. But, Mr. Speaker, although they were rented to the outsider, they should pay, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the Committee of Lands, Mr. Speaker, should come with that inventory, Mr. Speaker, and, Mr. Speaker, we know the county governments own these properties and these stores, and then, Mr. Speaker, we will now forward it to them. We table it to this assembly and then direct to the Committee of Budget, and we know that, Mr. Speaker, they pay how much. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I will support the motion.
Catching of the eye of the disabled, especially elected. Among we are to support this motion on housing, on looking at how the assets of the county are being are to be checked where they are. Now, revenue, I will say that the revenue in the county is key, because the county cannot progress without the revenue. So we want all the houses be paid, and also if the houses which are meant for the county, I would also want even to know how many disabled people occupy these houses. Because I've heard even they are not being paid. The county should repossess these houses for people who are not paying, and also in their allotment they are paid the disabled people, because the disabled people, I'm sure, they are able to even pay, so that the county gets revenue from these houses. And also, I would say that all the areas that the county need to collect the revenue must as well be looked at. Not only the housing, we have also other areas in the rural areas where we have the sand harvesting areas where we need the county to collect the revenue. We need also to be checked very well so that we have our county run well. So I stand to support.
Mr. Speaker, as a fighter of land, and the issues of housing are here, and my able chair is not here, Honorable Jama. I found it prudent if I'm allowed to chip in and assure the House that able chair the committee, the owner of the process of doing inquiry and making it possible for the county staff and any other person for clarification.
On point of order.
What is it, Honorable Karun?
The honorable member contributes to the motion. I've noted that he's not dressed to the code of the House. Kindly, Chair.
Honorable material being challenged. You just go out and dress well and come back. So, can we have the mover to reply? You want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say also something.
Very well.
Thank you, Chair. Basically, Chair, I wanted to support the motion and make a comment on the same. The motion seems to be a solution provider.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, what is it? Yes.
I just wanted to confirm from the Honorable Member whether it was a strategy for him to speak. Because he has changed the member and he is already speaking, Honorable Speaker.
I don't think it's so, because the honorable member was not properly dressed as a outstanding orders. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair, even for the protection. Basically, the motion is a solution provider for the challenges that we have. Also in sorting pending bills and having so many other debts within our council. And also to note, Chair, some of these departments I've visited them personally seeking for some services. And I came to realize also they are poorly funded. So at times to execute some of the requirement becomes a challenge to them. So I would request also the House to ensure that when we are doing the budget, we are funding this department well for execution of their services. On the same note, I noted the Honorable Shiro requested for another committee.
What is it? You'll be given a chance to contribute. Let the member contribute.
Chair,
Yes.
my concern are the book of the motion, who actually removed the fighting of the land and the housing. It does not know the names of member in this house.
But Honorable Monturi is not the mover of the motion. He's not the mover. So you are out of order. Yes, Honorable Karu.
Thank you, Chair, for the orderly execution of the motion. Thank you also for the protection. I was saying Honorable Diaz had requested for a special committee. However, I believe we have very able committees within the House. And also, I wanted to request even the the chair of the committee of the relevant the state committee to ensure also we are doing a proper consultation from our majority leader who has a very rich history of this county. I know it can be of great importance when it comes now to even inventories and perusing the history of this county to ensure we meet our target in such a motion. Thank you, Chair. I support
this good motion. And also, Speaker, I'm the vice chair of the Committee of Land and Housing. And the Speaker, as I contribute, I want to assure the House, very able chair of Land and Housing, Honorable Jama, is equal to the task, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since we were elected, it's only 6 months, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if you peruse the records from the Committee of Land and Housing, issues of housing, they are in the front page. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure this House and the people of Embu in particular that the committee is capable of finding lasting solution, Mr. Speaker, because the county government elected this House from the municipal council and county council, which were running these houses without impunity. And Mr. Speaker, as a support the importance of having the clear ownership and the people pay for the revenue to be realized, Mr. Speaker, I want us to urge the members of this House to remember that these issues of housing, the first beneficiary by the committee recommendation, which actually we are doing this report and which will be brought here some days to come, that we want the county government officers, Mr. Speaker, to be the first beneficiary, Mr. Speaker. And the Committee of Land and Housing, they are not only concentrating the houses in Embu County alone. They want to go to Runyenje, they want to go to Chicago. The Embu Chair is planning this kind of tours, Mr. Speaker. So as we support the motion, Mr. Speaker, I just want to tell you, Mr. Speaker, that through Chairman Jama and us members, we are going to, we promise the House we are going to have the progress report over the same, and it is not a crime for all members to join hands and do it what is right for the people of Embu, Mr. Speaker. I support the motion, and assuredly the county government and leadership of Lemont, who is the CC member, there's a lot of cooperation, Mr. Speaker. So I support by saying there's no need of any alarm, Mr. Speaker. The Civic Committee of Land and Housing will furnish this House with a detailed report of issues of housing in this country. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion.
To thank all the members for supporting the motion, and I hope this will not be the end. The proper steps will be taken so that we may get to the end of these questions, and that will be taken care of by the chairman and the Committee of Lands, where I'm a member. And thank you all for the support you've given to the motion. Thank you.
I now put the question that whereas the county government of Embu owns several housing estates, residential houses, shops and market stalls within the county, appreciating there is a need to assess the status of these properties and their revenue generation capacity, further concerned that the estimated potential revenue from the rental income from houses, market stalls and shops owned by the county government is not commensurate with the actual revenue collected, noting that it is important to establish whether the county government has the necessary ownership documents for the same properties. concerned that there could be court cases involving the properties owned by the county government. Now therefore, this county assembly urges the county executive to provide detailed information on 1, names of the residential flats, estates, market stores, shops owned by the county government, indicating the names of the tenants, number of units, location in electoral ones, and the specific town centers. 2, indicate the rent chargeable and the rent collected for every residential house, market store, and shop for the last 2 calendar years. 3, indicate whether there are any existing court matters involving any of the said residential estates, market stores, and shops, and the current status of the court cases. 4, provide copies of the land ownership documents of the said properties as proof of ownership. 5, provide the above and any other information incidental to the status of the said properties within 30 days from the date of receipt of this motion. Will as many of the same opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, this brings us to the end of today's sitting. The House stands adjourned until 2:30 p.m. Is so honored.
Kwa majina anaitwa Peter Mureithi, mimi ni MCA North na mimi ndiye rinda wa walio wengi katika mbunge ya Embu County, na nataka kuongelea kuhusu hii motion ya ambayo tumepitiza saa hii kuhusu nyumba za county. Nataka kusema kuna nyumba katika county yetu mara mbili. Kuna nyumba ambaye ni za national government ambaye zinalipwa kwa Ministry of Housing, wale watu wanakaa kwa nyumba hizo. Then kuna nyumba za county government ambaye zinalipwa kwa county government direct, ambaye ECRA inaenda kucorrect hizo pesa. Kwanza kuna stores ambaye ziko kwa bus park zetu zote. Hizo stores ni za county government na wanatakiwa kulipa kwa county government. ECRA inatakiwa kuokota pesa huko. Kuna nyumba ambayo tunaita Nyaga Estate, kuna nyumba ambayo tunaita Kemandi, kuna nyumba ambaye singine tunaita hapa karibu inaitwa Mbobe Estate. Hizo zote ni nyumba za county government. Na hawa watu wote wanatakiwa kulipa kwa county government. Although kama vile mover of the motion alikuwa anauliza kama kuna case kotini. Hawa watu walienda kotini wakati waliongezewa rent na wakakataa kulipa nyumba. Sasa for about kama miaka 10 sasa wamekuwa walipi hizo nyumba. Sababu ya kitu kimoja tu, wanalipa, wameongezewa rent. Lakini ukiangalia hata pesa ambaye wanalipa kwa hizo manyumba si market rate. Si pesa ambaye zinatakiwa kuwa sikiribu, wanalipa pesa kidogo sana. Kama ana nyumba kama hizo utakuta maybe mtu analipa 5,000. Na 5,000 yaliongezewa kutoka kwa 4,000, then akaenda kotini kusema hata lipa hizo 5,000. Na ni vibaya sana, wanatakiwa kulipa. Ndio tunasema sasa kama assembly tuokote, tufanye audit report, tujue nyumba zote za county ni nani wako ndani na wanalipa wapi. Kama hawalipi tuwapunguze watoke nje, tukomboleze wengine. Ya mwisho ni kuwa mali hizo nyumba za serikali wanalipisha. Kuna kitu inaitwa sijui nitaita nini kwa Kiswahili, lakini kwa Kimombo inaitwa contribution in lieu rate. Wanatakiwa kulipa pesa. Hata mahali popote kuna ofisi ya serikali, wanatakiwa walipe pesa kwa county government. Samani kama municipal tulikuwa tunachukua kwa Commission of Lands. Sasa hizi sijui zinachukuliwa wapi. Kwa hivyo hata hizo nyumba wanakomboleza, kuna ile percent wanafaa kulipa kwa county government. Hii naye county government kwa sababu county government is custodians of under Gov't 265 hawa ndio ile ilikuwa ya municipal council ya zamani. Municipal council ndio ilikuwa inasimamia mashamba yote ya county, na sasa county ndio inasimamia mashamba yote, so wanatakiwa kulipa hizo kwa county government, so that hata county government benefit na mali hizo maofisi siko. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri huu motion tumepitisha, hizi nyumba tujue ni ngapi na waanze kulipa, ili hata tukifanya budget tutakuwa tukifanya budget tukijua nyumba zetu ni hizi na zinaleta pesa hizi. Nyumba za serikali ni hizi, wanatakiwa tulipe real rate ya pesa hizi, na basi county itachukua pesa ambayo ya kuweza kuendesha shughuli zake vizuri kama tunakuwa na hizo nyumba. Nasikia hiyo, lakini ukweli ni kwamba kama ni nyumba zile nyumba nyingi ambaye zinakombolezwa saa hizi ni za national government, na hizo za national government nyingi yake inapewa wafanyikazi. Kwa hivyo sijui mtu kama hospital ndiye ataambiwa alipe 200,000 apewe nyumba akubali namna gani, na yeye anajua ni mfanyikazi wa serikali. Mtu kama county commissioner sijui ataambiwa lipa pesa apewe namna gani. Kwa hizo zinaweza kuwa ni allegations, kunaweza kuwa hakuna ukweli hapo.
Kwa majina ni Edwin Muregi, mwakilishi wa siku ya leo. Tulikuwa na mswada tukijaribu kuangalia ni vipi ambavyo nyumba ambazo ni za serikali ya kaunti ya Embu, zile ambazo zimepeanwa kukodishwa, namna ambavyo zipo kwa wakati huu, ni kina nani ambao wamekodisha hizi nyumba, ni pesa ngapi ambazo zinalipwa kwa wale ambao wamekodi hizi nyumba, na ile pesa ambayo inakusanyika kutokana na ile kodi ambayo inalipwa ni ya kiwango kipi, tujue ya kwamba ama hii pesa inatusaidia kama kaunti ya Embu. Na pia tunaona katika soko zetu kuna vile vibanda ambavyo pia vimepeanwa, na tunajua ya kwamba vibanda hivi na nyingi ya hizi nyumba ambazo zinakodishwa katika kaunti ya Embu vimeridhiwa, vibanda pamoja na zile nyumba vimeridhiwa kutoka kwa ile ambayo tulikuwa na county council na municipal council. Na kuna ile rekodi ambayo siku ya leo assembly ya Embu ilikuwa inataka kutathmini kana kwamba tunayo hii rekodi na sajili ambayo ipo sana sana ya wale ambao wamekodisha, na ndio maana tukawa na mswada wa kuhimiza executive iweze kutusaidia kupata sajili kamili kwa wakati uliopo, zile vibanda zilivyo katika soko zetu, na pia zile nyumba ambazo zimekodishwa ni ngapi, kodi ni ya kiwango kipi, na kama wale ambao wamekodisha hizi nyumba wako katika sajili sahihi kwa wakati timilifu. Wacha niseme kwamba usimamizi wa hizi nyumba ambazo zinakodishwa za county na pia vile vibanda ambavyo viko katika soko zetu, kwa hakika tunajaribu kama assembly tuone vile ambavyo tunaweza unda jopo la kutathmini uwepo wa hizi nyumba, urahisi uliopo wa kukodisha hizi nyumba, na kwa wakati huu siwezi nikatathmini ya kweli kujua kama kuna njia ambayo labda wengine wanatumia njia ya mkato ndio watu waweze kupata hizi nyumba, lakini ningependa kuhakikishia wananchi ya kwamba tukiunda jopo la kuangazia haya maneno ambayo yameangaziwa katika mswada wa leo, tutaweza kutathmini kama hizi nyumba zinapeanwa kwa njia ambayo inastahili, na kama kunaweza kuwa kuna njia labda ambayo sio sahihi ya kupata hizi nyumba, pia tuweze kuwahimiza wananchi kwa jumla, kana kwamba utakuwa unakodisha jumba ambalo ni la county ama kibanda ambacho ni cha county, ni vyema ukatembelea wizara husika ndio uweze kupata sajili ambayo inafaa. Kwa hivyo kwa saa hii siwezi nikanena kusema kweli kwamba najua kuna wale labda ambao wanatapeli wananchi ndio uweze kupata nyumba ya kukodisha ya county ama kibanda cha soko, lakini najua kwamba kutokana na ripoti ya jopo ambalo tutaunda kama assembly tutaweza kujua ukweli uliopo. Asante.
Honorable James Jero Augustine, MCA representing people with disability, Embu County Assembly. Today we had a very nice motion on county assets, whereby we are looking at how the county is supposed to get levy or revenue, you know, the assets in the county, one being housing. In this, there are county houses in Embu, in Isiara, in Kiritiri and Chicago, among other towns, and Runyenjes. I'm appealing to the county because we have at least explored all along and seen that these houses, most of them, they are not paid. The tenants do not pay. I'm requesting the county to consider reallocating the people with disability some of these houses as a priority. Disability people live, most of them are in the streets of Embu and many other towns within Embu, and they need housing. I'm saying let them not be considered for single rooms. They also be allocated at least 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom houses, because these disability people have families. And as well, they have a right to live. I'm appealing to the county also to consider, because these people are people who do not change, and these people, they were the first who elected our Honorable Governor, Cicely Mbarire, during the last election, very well, 100%, and they need their rights to be considered. They, at least, they be given a chance, also live like other people. Also, they be considered also in allocation of the kiosks in these markets, because also they are very, 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 very determined also to do business. Others are doing business to sustain themselves. And when you look at these markets, all of them, I would say that they have the ground pit latrines or washrooms. I would request the county government of Embu to at least to set one washroom that is disability friendly, in that it is fitted with disability devices, that if a physical challenged or any other challenged disability can be able to use that toilet comfortably when it is a raised washroom, whereby one would sit and help herself or himself, and also fitted with the side gadget, whereby one is able to support himself or herself. And in this, the disability people will be comfortable. You find that when they come to the markets, because they attend markets like any other citizen of Embu, they stay pressed all through till they go back to their homes where they can help themselves. This is a challenge. Also, these areas are not fitted with ramps. We would also need these markets have areas where they are fitted with ramps, so that the accessibility of these people is better. I think, as we are saying, as we are progressive assembly this time round, we want all these things we request be honored, so that everybody feels that it belongs to Embu. Like any other person. So, us in assembly is to support and pass all what the executive brings to us, that to make Embu County shine or progress, as we have all the support for the county to have it move to the next level.
Thank you. My name is Honorable Lenny Masters, MCA Kiambere Ward. I was the mover of the motion about the Embu County housings, whereby we have so many government houses within Embu, both for the county government and for the national government, which to me are not properly managed, because from the assembly level, for the last 5 years that I have served this county assembly of Embu, I have never came across the policy and even the operationalization plan for these housings. These houses, they have been bringing so many issues to the occupants, whereby a very recent case scenario of a nurse who works for the county government, but was occupying a national government house, whereby the nurse was forcibly evicted from the house. The national government houses in Embu County are managed by a director of the housing, who is domiciled in Embu County, who is charged with the responsibility of the management of the national government houses. So on matters of allocations and some other services that may be required within their national housings. So again, I found that there is no proper coordination between the county government department of the housing and the national government department of the housing, whereby they are colluding. You find that the CC member and the director in charge of the national government housing, they are not speaking in one voice. Because if they are speaking in one voice, we could not have seen the collision between a national government officer trying to evict the county government officer from an allocated national government house. With all those scenarios, you find that in the county government, we have no proper records of our houses. We don't know how many are they in number that belongs to the county government. We don't know how much these houses brings to the county government in terms of revenue. We don't know the occupants of these houses. We have cases whereby both our county and national government houses are not occupied by government officers.